So hopefully by now you're starting to get the hang of this, and so we're going to move really fast in this video. Because once again, one of the overarching themes, if there's anything that you take away from this whole series, it's that you don't need to know what you're building before you build it in SolidWorks. We can just throw stuff out there, figure it out as we go, and make changes really easily. So let's say we want to build out the rest of this robot really fast, but we don't know what it's going to look like in the end. We just have a very rough idea. Well, let's just throw things out and get started. So here I am in my AMPI assembly, and I'm going to do this fast motion because we're not going to cover any new skills here. All the skills we do here are things we've already covered in detail in other videos. I'm just going to show them to you basically in fast motion. So let's create a new part on the front plane, and I'll rename this one my body. And then I'm going to drop that down, grab the right plane, create a sketch on that right plane. And using the line tool, let's just create an outline of what we think the basic body of our robot is going to look like. And as you well know by now, this is all adjustable. Who cares? I'm just going to throw it out there, and we can always change it later. Now, when I extrude this, it looks like I've made a mistake in my sketch. Remember how I mentioned sometimes you make these mistakes where you have an extra little line? Well, there's mine in this case. So when I zoom all the way in, here's that extra little line. Let's just cancel our extrude for a second, delete that line, and then go back to our extrude, and look at that. Much better. Now everything's working the way that it should. So just pay attention for little stuff like that. Now I'm going to go to my direction 1, expand that, mid-plane, drag this out just so that it looks roughly right. That looks fine. And hit OK. So that's going to serve as my body. Now I don't need to change this much. Why don't we just add a couple of fillets and be done with it? Let's go to a constant radius fillet. Select this edge and that one. And make that, I don't know, really darn big. Let's do 100 millimeters. Hit OK. That looks good. And let's do the back ones as well, but just with a much smaller radius, I guess. We'll take these guys. Let's just do those at, I don't know, 50 millimeters, something like that. And then if I don't like it, I can grab one of them and just drag that pink circle to kind of get it to look however I want. That looks fine. So that's a finished basic body shape. We don't need to go any further than that. Let's go to the right plane and create another sketch. And this time I'm going to grab my slot tool, and instead of my center point slot, let's drop that down and do a straight slot. Start right here. I'm just going to snap to this point, snap to the back, and then create a slot, I don't know, something like so. Now it kind of bugs me that that comes so close to the back edge there. So I'm actually going to hit escape. Now when we drew this, it put a snap right here to make it coincident with this edge, this vertical edge. So I'm going to delete that constraint. And that should allow me to actually move this back and forth as needed. I can also adjust this dimension if I need to, but maybe I'll do that later. Let's go to our features, do an extruded cut. And once again, I'm going to make this, let's do mid-plane. And then I'm going to just drag to get that to look roughly like the width of the neck that we want, and hit OK. And now we have this kind of pocket ready to put that neck into. And if I want to change it, if you'll recall, now we can just kind of drag these dimensions to get them to look just the way that we want. So that looks decent. So let's say we're happy with that. I may want to put a little fillet on one of those edges. Let's grab our fillet tool. We'll do this edge and this edge. We don't have to rotate our view to do that. Make those little, maybe, I don't know, 8 millimeter fillets, something like that. Hit OK. And that's going to do us. All right, let's exit this part, and we're done with that first part. Now, these eyes are starting to get in my way a little bit. Actually, I'm going to move them up here, closer to where they will end up in the final part. And then I'm actually just going to hide them for the time being. And then let's create another part. Let's exit this, hit that S key. We'll insert a new part on the front plane once again, and cancel that default sketch. We'll drop this down. Let's rename this guy our neck. And then we'll go to the right plane, create a sketch. And I'm actually going to sketch this off. So like you would think I would sketch it up here. I could do that. But actually, just to keep things tidy, I'm going to do it down here. Let's do it right on the origin. I like to build on the origin of any given part. So we'll just do that, and we'll do our extrusion. And as you know, we don't have to know what we're doing before we do it. We're just going to throw this out here, exit that part, and then drag it wherever we want it, right? So let's use our mates to put this into place. Let's go to mate. We're going to mate this face to that face, so those go together. We know that. Hit OK. And then also, let's expand this down, and let's find our neck part. We'll go down to the right plane of the neck part, and we'll just go ahead and mate that to the right plane of the body part, right? So those guys go together, because we know they always will, no matter what. Hit OK, hit OK. And now if I drag these, they move together. Why don't we lock that body down? I'm going to undo that. Let's take this body and use that mate trick. Let's go to mate. Let's mate the body origin to the origin of our assembly, just so that doesn't move on us. Hit OK. Perfect. Now I can drag this where I want. Now obviously it's way too big, so let's right click, edit part right here in context. Then I can just drag it. Drag it to get it to whatever size we think is appropriate. And then I'm going to drag this piece to kind of make it shorter, something like so. And that's looking pretty decent. Just get that right where we want it. There she is. Okay, that looks good. Hit OK. And now this guy's going to move. Oops, let's exit that part. Now this guy moves up and down just like he should. Perfect. Now we just need one more part here. We're going to rush through this. Let's go hit that S key, insert a new part on the front plane once again, cancel that default dialog. Hop in here. Let's rename this our neck bracket. And I'm going to jump in there. Let's open this in its own window for a second. We'll jump to the right plane and create a rectangle of any old size. Does not matter. Let's just extrude that. Use mid-plane. Get that, I don't know, about like that. That looks fine. And then I'm going to grab my fillet tool. Let's do a full round fillet with this face, the bottom face there, and let's grab this face over here on the other side. We get a full round there. Perfect. Let's grab our fillet tool one more time. We'll do a constant radius on this edge and that edge. Let's make that a little bit bigger, maybe 20 millimeters. Hit OK. And now we will use one new tool. Let's head to the Features toolbar and up to the Shell command. And I'm going to click on these three faces. Let's grab the three faces all the way wrapping around the bottom of this horseshoe shape. And we want for the wall thickness here, I don't know, 5 millimeters. Let's show a preview of that. That actually looks, I don't know, thinner than it needs to be. Let's do 8. Hit OK. And now we have a bracket. Now the shell command is really powerful, definitely worth playing with, but the basic idea is just you set a wall thickness and then you click the faces you want to get rid of. Just like that. Makes it hollow. All right, so we have a bracket. Let's close this. Go back to our main assembly. The bracket is not the right size or shape, but who cares? All we have to do is mate it in place. Let's grab that neck bracket, and we're going to make its, let's make its right plane coincident with the right plane of the neck, because that goes together, as we know. And then let's make this bottom of our horseshoe concentric with the top of that neck. Perfect. Hit OK and OK. Now clearly this doesn't fit right, so let's right click that and edit part. We can grab any one of these faces and just move things around until they fit the way that we want. And I think I need to change this face. Let's move this in something like so. That looks pretty good. Take this top face and move it down again. Split the difference. There we go. Looking pretty good, folks. That's looking good. One more thing on this bracket. Let's actually edit this part in context. Grab this face, create a sketch on it. Grab my circle tool. I'm going to create a circle right there in the middle of it, something like so. Features, extrude boss. And I don't know. That looks fine. We just need a peg that we're going to use to connect our bracket for our head. Hit OK. We can show that other subassembly. And let's keep moving.